It's that time of year again. Let's get this garden ready for summer. It literally feels like yesterday I made last year's video. The years are just flying by. But if you're new here, every year I try to improve and build upon our little new build garden. And I started this in 2023 when we had absolutely no grass whatsoever because it had all been eaten by leather jacket grubs. And you can watch the whole process from then to now in my gardening playlist. This is what the grass is looking like right now. Very long, and there are some really muddy patches that we'll need to fill in again, but overall, not too bad, especially compared to how it used to be. I'll insert some pictures here. So as you can see, it's vastly different from then to now, and I am determined it will never look like this again. So let's get into the video. We're starting with a tip run because we've had loads of stuff piling up all year, so we gathered it all up onto the picnic bench first. I've got to think about decluttering at the minute and reducing the amount of stuff we have to deal with. And so I like to see everything all in one space first so that it's really noticeable just how much we've reduced and cleared the space. Is that weird? It just feels like a huge weight off. Our space used to be ridiculously cluttered and overwhelming from the house to the garden. We were just tripping over stuff. So I really had to change my mindset when it came to letting things go. And now I actively search for things to declutter as I'm cleaning or pottering around. Anyway, next job was to tackle this overgrown lawn. I never know when to do the first mow of the year because the lawn's always so soggy, but it's grown so long now I can't put it off anymore for drier weather. I've said it before, but our garden is terrible for growing grass. There's barely any drainage and we get leather jacket grubs every year, but with the preventative treatment of nematodes, I've managed to keep some semblance of a lawn for the last few years, so that's a win. Tried using a strimmer for the edges, but I just don't get on with them, especially when it comes to the bit near the brick wall. I don't know if I'm just angling it wrong, but the little wire thing always breaks pretty much as soon as I start and it irritates me no end. So I ended up using scissors like I do every single year. The ground was honestly so soggy, I had to put a towel down so that my knees didn't make dents in the lawn. I was hoping it would be a bit warmer and brighter when I started this, but like I said, I couldn't put it off any longer. I wanted to put some seed and more nematodes down to hopefully have a lovely lush lawn for summertime. Then I decided to pull these lights down because they're just full of water and going rusty. But I couldn't take them down the normal way because my wisteria had twiddled itself around them, so I had to cut them down bit by bit. I cannot wait to see how the wisteria looks this year. We've had it for I think 2 years now, and they just look better and better every year, don't they? I hope we get loads of bees and bugs. As you know, I had 1 bee visitor in the bee hotel last year, so this year I'm going for 2. I'll be chuffed to bits with 2 bees. And to me, that'll be an indication that my garden's getting healthier. This is what I meant about the lights going rusty. They clearly weren't very waterproof. Next, it was time to preen all of the old leaves off the strawberries. These will start growing like crazy in the next few months. It's the best thing to watch your garden just bloom. And each year I've been adding more plants and more flowers wherever I can, and seeing what survives and what doesn't, and just learning from that. And I'll make another video in a few months' time and show you how everything's grown and changed, especially the lawn. I know it looks pretty awful now, but trust me, in a few months' time it'll be lush. After all the trials we've had with this garden, I can say that with complete confidence. I trust in my ability to grow a lawn in terrible conditions, and to make a boring box garden feel cheerful. Behind the strawberry box there, that's honeysuckle, and that's going to smell amazing when it's in full bloom. And hopefully, again, attract lots of pollinators. We haven't got the biggest space to work with here, but I can pack it full of life. I used to absolutely hate this pebbly bit here, and I had originally planned to just get rid of them and fill it in somehow, but then my mum suggested alpine plants, so now it's absolutely full of herbs and flowers that thrive in shallow and rocky places, and I'm so glad I didn't fill it in. This big plant here is lemon verbena, and I got it when it was teeny tiny, and they don't usually survive British winters, but here it is, absolutely huge, and it smells amazing. I mean, it doesn't look like much now, but just wait for summer. If you're wondering why there's bits of confetti everywhere, that was my eldest. He decided to come outside and pop a giant birthday balloon. Luckily, they're paper and biodegradable, but I'm trying to sweep up as much of it as I can. And then I'm just going along here and preening back any old foliage or plants that seem to be taking over all of the others, especially the alpine strawberries because they are so invasive and they spread really fast among the other plants. They're really pretty and a nice little treat for the birds in summer, but I like to make sure they don't take over everything. And yeah, I am so happy with how everything's growing and thriving. Some of the bigger plants are coming up for 2 years old now, and I was worried they'd end up dying off because of how little soil there was to work with here, but so far they're loving it still. The only plant that doesn't seem to be working in this garden is basil, and I know it's just not the right conditions for it, but I keep trying in case things magically change. I know they won't. It just shrivels up every winter and never comes back, so I think I'm going to keep it in a pot in the kitchen this year. It just wants to be warm. I also moved our lavender plant from a pot into this area here, because it seemed to be wilting in the pot, and I think it was because it had too much water, and now it's absolutely thriving as well. These are curry plant seeds, so I'm just going to put some of them back into the soil next to it. And this sage is gigantic now, so I've cut a lot back to give to my mum. And this will be great for this year's roast dinners and stuffing and pasta. One of my main goals for this garden was to have mostly edible plants, and to be able to come out when I'm cooking with the slow cooker and get some rosemary or thyme, or lavender and lemon verbena for bath time. We've got loads of fruit plants as well. We've got a red currant bush, a plum tree, strawberries and loganberries, and then everything else is for the bees and the butterflies. And honestly, I'm going to be so sad when we move house because I've poured so much love into this garden. If you've followed for a while, you'll know just how bad this garden was a few years ago. We had no grass whatsoever, the lawn was crawling with leather jackets. I know I showed you the images right at the start, but there were no plants, no pergola, no picnic bench or sandpit. It was just lifeless and horrible. And I just hope the next residents want to take care of it. I was thinking of writing a letter for them when we leave, teaching them how to keep the leather jacket grubs at bay and what each plant is and what it can be used for, which ones can be used for cooking. Obviously, they're not obligated to keep any of it, but it's so hard to keep this lawn alive, so hopefully I can leave them with what I've learnt. Leather jacket grubs eat the roots of grass, by the way, and they love really damp and waterlogged lawns that don't have very good drainage. And you can get rid of them using something called nematodes. We tried everything at the beginning, chickens, tarpaulin, we even tried picking them out ourselves by hand. And that's all in the first garden transformation video I put out a few years ago. We really have learnt so much in such a short space of time. This is the lavender now it's here in the rocky patch. Last year, so much of it had started to wither. There was only one tiny bit left at the bottom of the pot and I transplanted it here. I didn't have much hope it'd survive, but it's doing really well now. And by the way, I've had a few comments from people about my voice sounding louder or like I'm in a different place at different points in the video. And I can only apologise for that. It's literally because I am in different rooms as I create the voiceovers. Being a mum of 3, I have to take opportunities to edit wherever I can. And I can only do it in short bursts. And sometimes that means I'm in the living room for the first 5 minutes and then up in my room while baby naps for the next 5. Sometimes I'm wearing a thicker jumper and even that changes the quality of the audio. I record on my phone and I don't have a studio or an editing team. I'm just doing the best with what I have. And I hope you're still able to enjoy the video as much as possible despite that. Anyway, people told me I'd regret planting mint here, but so far I've not. I just do this and I pull loads of the big roots out at the start of every year. Hasn't hurt the plant and it stops it from spreading too far across. And it always gives off the nicest smell when you open the gate. Anyway, that's that all done. I saw we've got a random bit of ivy growing here and I was going to let it grow and just see what happens, but so many people have advised against that. Velma's been out here sleeping in the pushchair pretty much the entire time I was doing that, but she's just woken up. There's nothing better than a nice nap in the fresh air. Then I needed something to stabilise the loganberry because it's growing pretty tall now. And at this point it was getting late and it was also freezing, so I just gave everything a good sweep and decided to get some more done the next day. I had wanted to get everything done in one day, but as always I'd underestimated how long these things take, especially with a newborn. Kids were back home from school as well and I just wanted to get inside, get warm and have dinner. It was so windy as well, everything I was sweeping up kept blowing away again. On to the next day and my mum and stepdad were here to help dismantle this sandpit lid and train the wisteria. My stepdad had built this lid at the end of last year and then realised after it was built that it was impossible to lift, so we're going to have to go back to the old cover for the time being. Here I was measuring it up for a new one, because the original cover is also ridiculously hard to put on at the end of the day. And don't worry, my stepdad's going to cut down this wood and either use it on their allotment or for firewood in winter, so it's not going to go to waste. This was my mum's job for the day, training all of the loose bits of the wisteria onto the pergola. I said when I got the pergola that one day I hoped it'd be covered in plants, especially at the top. I was hoping it'd create like a natural shaded area for us to eat under at the picnic table, and we're getting there year by year. I was quite stressed with the amount of branches my mum cut off here, but I had to trust the process because she knows what she's doing. And I think it's going to look so lovely in a few months' time. People weren't joking when they said they grow really fast. Next, I gave the Cozy Coop a good scrub. Honestly, I don't think I've cleaned this in years. We've had it since Ike was 1 and he's 4 now, and it's never going to look fully clean, but at least it won't be covered in algae for summer. I realise the way I'm doing this is very impractical, but I couldn't be bothered to get the hose pipe out. This was actually filmed at the end of March, so I've only just gotten round to finishing the voiceover. And you might have seen a short where I did a little Easter vlog, and I finished off the bits I didn't get round to in this video, like jet washing and neatening up the lawn edges. But yeah, this video was actually filmed before that, but obviously the longer form videos take a bit more time and effort. Is there anything more satisfying than getting some soap and water and just scrubbing something clean? I really don't think there is. I watch a creator on TikTok called Sophie. I think she's on YouTube as well, and she does these ASMR cleans, and honestly, I could sit and watch her videos all day. And I've actually decided at the first of every month, I'm going to start doing a first of the month house reset, and I'm going to film it with just the cleaning sounds. I know the majority of you are here for the chats, and I'm not going to change that, but I do want to try doing one small ASMR video a month, just to test out my editing skills and branch out into something that pushes me out of my comfort zone a bit. It literally will be like one short at the start of every month though, but look out for that soon. It might be a huge failure because I have a feeling that a lot more thought, planning and intention goes into the filming process than might appear. But yeah, let me know what you think. I honestly don't think Ike will care in the slightest whether this car is clean or not. He's constantly covered in mud himself. It genuinely was just for me. Next, we needed to take a trip to the garden centre because I really wanted to get a buddleia for this year. And the garden centre is my idea of a good day out. I would say it's me getting boring as I get older, but I've literally always loved garden centres. Smelling the plants, going to the cafe, having a look round the pet shop or the aquarium, looking at all of the old grandma slippers. If they've got a food stall, looking at all of the posh food that we can't afford. What's not to love? And there always seems to be a cat hanging around when we go to the garden centre. Also, what's not to love about that? But yeah, this centre in particular is my favourite because I remember going here with my mum when I was a little girl. And it was the same as it is now, about 20 years ago, and I used to go into these Wendy houses and pretend I'd bought my first house. I actually think they're sheds, but whatever. This little pond area hasn't changed at all either. And they used to have sturgeons then too. How cool is this little guy? He's coming up now. I think I said in last year's video, because we came here then too, that there wasn't a sturgeon. Well, there's 2 now. Anyway, back home again, and my mum planted the buddleia for me while I fed baby. Charlie had just come back from a Greggs run. This year's garden is fueled by sausage rolls. I really wanted to get one of these because butterflies absolutely love them. And in the middle of summer, you can literally smell the nectar on them. They smell like honey to me. My granddad on my dad's side was a butterfly enthusiast, and he had a huge one of these in his garden when I was little, and it was always covered in all different kinds of butterflies. Species that I haven't seen in years. I feel like we rarely see any these days, so I'm hoping that changes in this garden once it starts to bloom. I also got some more alpine flowers from the garden centre because I just couldn't resist. I like to make sure I get really unique looking ones every time. I just want this patch to be as colourful as possible. I have noticed though, this flower here, it's like a lovely shade of red, isn't it? Well, since I planted it, it's like the colours have faded to a really dull pastel colour, and I've got no idea why that might have happened. So if there are any experienced gardeners watching, what would cause the flowers to change colour? Very bizarre. This is what I mean, look. I had to nip out and film it for you. They've gone a completely different colour. Also, look how gorgeous these are. I bought these last year and they didn't flower last year. Anyway, back to the video and back to March. I didn't buy any more herbs this time. I thought it needed more pops of colour. And this flower, we already had one of, but the slugs absolutely love it for some reason. So I was like, let's add another one just in case. Added it right next to it because they're exactly the same. And one might just survive the summer this way. We'll see. I think I've already said it, but I will update you on how things progress over the summer. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, I often post more of the garden and daily life stuff over there as well. This flower I'm putting in now is a lovely orange colour, and I actually regret putting it in this corner because it's not going to get that much sun there, but we'll see how it does. Isn't it lovely? And then it started to snow. I wasn't going to let it stop me though, because I did not want this to roll over on into another day. If I spend too much time on the garden, the house will start to slip, and then that takes ages to get back on track. So out I went in my useless coat, absolutely frozen to the bone, and planted the rest of them. It was so cold I was actually getting brain freeze. Not what I was expecting at the end of March, but there you go. I remember when I did this video last year, it was really sunny and lovely. That's British weather for you. You can get all 4 seasons in one day sometimes. But like I said earlier, I couldn't put it off any longer, so the weather right now was irrelevant. Although I was going to aerate this lawn and put some topsoil on, but at this point I really couldn't be bothered. We'd been out here all day and I just wanted to go inside. So I just threw some grass seed down and hoped for the best. Clearly all my hard work rubbed off on everyone else in the house, because this is what I walked back into. But it's alright because I got a celebratory dinner out at the end of it. I had scallops and lasagna, and Charlie had prawns and venison. Very posh. Anyway, this is what the garden was looking like at the end of March. Covered in rain, but lovely and clear. Everything all trimmed back, ready to grow nice and healthy for summer. Obviously, I showed you what some of the flowers look like just a month later. Those purple ones, such a gorgeous contrast. I was really worried last year that I'd picked the wrong kind and they weren't actually going to flower, so that was a lovely surprise. The patio's been jet washed as well now. Like I said, that was in my little Easter vlog. It was just a 3-minute short, but I've been really loving doing day in the lives on shorts, blending cleaning content with wholesome little days out or dinner at my mum's. They're my favourite videos to make because I just feel like they give off the true essence of me and the things that bring me joy in life. So I hope you've been enjoying those and it's been making you feel all nice and cosy. Anyway, that's the garden so far, and I'll see you in the next video.